fantastic. It is an absolute pleasure to speak with you. Thank you for taking the time to do this, especially.
Thank you, and I apologize again. I'm normally very on time. I was 100% sure it started at 11:40. I'm so sorry. My time, of course.
No worries. Obviously, we're so close to the release of the new album Time, so it is an incredibly busy period. So let's start there. How are you feeling at the moment?
Feeling good. There's a lot of work with every release. We are trying to put together a good amount of information out there. So this is what me and you are doing right now, and this is why we are here together today specifically. It is definitely very exciting times because we are very, very proud of this album like never before. And we, to be honest with you, we couldn't wait for this release to happen as soon as possible. So tomorrow is the day. I don't know when this interview comes out, but tomorrow is the day. So getting nice and excited. Maybe I will even celebrate a little bit.
Yes, it's so close, as you say, as the time of recording. It's out tomorrow, and it's been a long build, a long process, of course, that comes with releasing an album, full stop. But it can be a very lengthy journey. Has it been a fun one overall for you?
Yes, it's been a very fun journey. It always is, because composing is something I really love doing. So I always love the time where, okay, we are in the recording process or in the composing process. Let's say composing process comes way before recording process. And I love that because it is so unpredictable. We never know what's going to come out. It's not, we never plan it to each detail. We might plan certain like things that we want to keep together for this record, but that's about it, you know. And it's seeing it and being part of the process of building this. It's quite fun.
I'm glad, because as I said, it can be so long-winded that it can almost get a bit tiresome. But as we get closer, you start getting reviews, you start reading more and more comments, and they've all been so positive. Does this go some way to easing your mind as how the full album might be received?
Yes. Oh yeah, of course. That helps a lot to know, like, the first impression, the first reactions, they normally are some of the most important in general. They might not be the final, like people that get to react, let's say, on one or two singles in a positive way. They might listen to the album and be like, those two songs were probably my favorite, and this album is not what I expected. Or vice versa, they can be like, they are quite different with these singles, but when they listen to the album, they're like, I adore the album. My first impression was not correct. It happens to me as well when I listen to certain bands, you know, that I like and follow. So the only thing that I'm asking here as an artist, as a musician, and I'm sure I speak on the behalf of every musician out there, make sure to give that try and don't always rely on that first impression, because the choice of a single is often, you know, just in our reality the best choice, because of that's how we relate to those songs. It might not be in your reality the best choice of the single that actually does describe the album. But in this case, with me and you right now, it's quite different, because we released 5 songs already, which is half of an album almost. So the reaction of people being so amazing and so positive gives us so much hope, because they've heard half of the album almost, right? The 5th single came out yesterday, and even though it's a completely different song than anything we've released before, I barely even scream in that song, and the message of that song is like so different, that still it was so well received. And I still am you know, trying to read the comments, because I didn't have enough time to be everywhere and read everything. But so far it's very positive, and I have a very good feeling this album is going to be one of the favorites out there, out of our discography. I know it is for me for now.
I think that makes a lot of sense, because Time, it is infected rain through and through, yet it's also a showcase of who you are and how you got to this particular point in time. Was this the vision you had for the album initially?
You mean the main theme, the main vision of the album?
Yeah, so
Or
when you first said, okay, right, we're going to work, we're going to start putting some time in, and we're going to see what we come out with. Did you have a clear vision of what you wanted time to be?
not necessarily, no. And as I said, we don't always plan it to the point. Maybe some bands do,
Mm.
but we never do. We might plan a few things that we definitely want in this album, but that's about it. Everything else, it's a surprise for even for us, because when my musicians compose the instrumental for a song, or a so-called sketch of an instrumental for a song, and they send it to me, they have no idea what my vision is going to be, with the what lyrics, what is it going to be about, and yeah, am I gonna scream, sing, am I gonna rap? I don't know. They don't know. I don't know either. And often I just go with the flow. I do have a few ideas as well when it comes to lyrics, and I write them down or I record them. And sometimes I do like to stick with them because I like them so much, or I think they deliver what I want to say in the most perfect way. However, I also try not to have expectations or too many things planned. I feel like the element of surprise is so much more needed. And then, it's not quite like writing a scenario for a movie or a
Mm.
scenario for a music video where you have to plan certain things in advance, otherwise you will forget to shoot certain angles. With the album, it's not quite like that, at least in my opinion. It's not. However, already around the when we had like 3 or 4 songs that were already complete and they only needed to be polished, let's say, we already knew that the direction this album is going, give or take, that we are going to have new sounds. Like, for example, our guitar player picked an 8-string guitar, so for some
Mm.
songs he goes in a different tuning, with with the 8-string guitar. Also, we have a lot of trip hop and electronics, which we did before as well, but not
Nice.
in this quantity altogether. And I really, really like that. I absolutely love the the few songs that have this almost like Middle East themes in music and instruments and you know what I'm talking about, with the
Mm.
song Return and with the song Paura, which is the continuation of Never to Return, by the way. Um, so I don't know. I feel like we've introduced something new, but did we plan it necessarily on purpose? Not really. We just went with the feeling of it.
Do you remember at what point, as you say, so you've got these ideas floating around, you're hearing instrumentals, you're thinking about your lyrics and how you're going to sing and what you're going to put on it. Do you remember when you started to think, okay, this is what this album is beginning to look like. This is what it's beginning to sound like, and it is going to encapsulate everything Infected Rain have done and been to this point.
I mean, yes, of course, but as I said, this sensation or this feeling can be already palpable at
Mm.
a level of like 4 or 5 songs, because you already know, give or take, what are you doing already so far. And that being said, I can only speak from the perspective of a vocalist, me specifically, because even get a room full of vocalists, everybody probably has their own way, their own vision on the same music, even sometimes. So I can obviously only speak about myself. But when it comes to my musicians, that part could have been interesting to know, because it's quite it's an interesting question that we should probably ask the musicians, because
Mm.
they definitely set an atmosphere with the music, and I don't apply anything if I don't have music. So I'm definitely based on what they give me. They give me a mood, they give me a melody, they give me a guideline, and then I create around it.
And I'm glad you mentioned Never to Return, and I'm glad you did, because that's a great example of time of where you still surprise even me, and I know your entire body of work over the past many years. And of course, Infected Rain have always experimented. You've always been an experimental band trying new things. Did you have any lines in the sand when it came to experimenting, or was it quite a free, let's see what works kind of situation?
Do you mean still lyric-wise?
It can be lyrically, it can be how you sing, it can be anything, even
Oh,
from the
so
instrumental side.
sorry, I didn't understand if you were referring to the music video itself or to the song. So if you're referring to the song, it's very, very interesting because, okay, so a little bit, a small step back, background, a little bit background history. My father and his entire family is Armenian. Him and my mom, they met in Moldova, and you know, they just stayed together. And Armenia, just like Moldova, it's an ex-USSR country, which means besides their local language, they were forced to learn Russian. And Russian is the only language that my parents spoke between them because they didn't understand each other's languages. So I grew up in a multilingual family, I'm sorry. And eventually I also got to know the culture of Armenia and the language itself, because for years I lived with my father in Armenia when my parents were splitting up. And even though it wasn't quite my decision, I was a child, and it was a quite difficult time in my life. However, I'm very grateful for that experience because I got to experience, learn, and fall in love with the local culture, which includes many ethnical instruments, local view on music in general, and I loved that. Even as a child, I never had a musical background, I never studied music, but I always was attracted to music, and for some reason, developing this love for so-called Middle East sounding instruments, it carried on with me in life. The reason I tell you that is because with Infected Rain, I actually attempted maybe at least twice to bring something like that vocally. And it was never the right time because my musicians didn't like it. They were like, this doesn't fit here. Well, this doesn't fit, which I totally agree didn't. Like, but I tried because I wanted to incorporate something like this. And now all of a sudden, out of a blue, Vidic sends me Never to Return in its still raw state. And I'm like, there it is, the song I've been waiting for. I need to. So I was so excited to compose for this song, so excited. I don't know now how I succeeded when it comes to adding that sort of ethnical, unique melody with my voice, but I did try my best to at least garnish what he brought instrumentally and keep that, you know, like deserty, somewhere, maybe not even this planet type of instruments and stuff like that. Like, yeah.
It really does stand out on an album of standout tracks.
Thank you.
Where it feels like it must have been a really comfortable journey completing and making the album, but also there may have been many challenging moments. From your personal perspective as a vocalist, as a singer, what were some of the more challenging parts of creating the album overall?
Actually, I had a health issue, a very serious one that needed to be taken care of when I was a child, and it wasn't. It's not a secret for many that actually do follow the band that last year I had a surgery on removing my tonsils. It's something that we get hereditary when they are bigger than the size they're supposed to be, and they don't work properly, and they cause a lot of health problems. Now, with those bad tonsils, 99% of people get chronic angina, which is a heart issue. Now, that throughout years and throughout my life became worse and worse and worse. And unfortunately, I was forced to, so-called forced, of course, I was forced to follow the rules about COVID vaccines if I wanted to get back and travel for work and not sit home for more than 2 years. And those made it even worse So my last vaccine impacted my heart even more, and I have an actual disability when it comes to that. And it is very hard. And finally, I spoke with the band, and we found a small little gap where I could go and take care of this tonsils as well, because they were only making things worse. And it came to the point where it was hard to be on stage an entire show without like serious heart problems. So I pulled the trigger, and in December of 2022, so in the end of 2022, I went through this surgery, which can be quite brutal for an adult, and I had to recover. Now, I was very nervous about this because I've heard that many vocalists that do it professionally and had to go through this surgery did feel differences after healing. Now, that was not promising because I didn't know the differences would they be for the best or for the worse. But I knew that if I wanted to continue to play shows without fainting on stage and calling the ambulance after every single show, I needed to do something. So I pulled the trigger and did it. Now, thanks to my vocal teacher, Melissa Cross, she's also my dear friend, I was able to work on my voice a lot, and I was able to believe in myself again, because in the beginning, you barely can talk. Like, I didn't speak for 8 days in a row. I took like a actual no speaking, and then slowly I started including those muscles and so on. The reason I tell you all that is that I never had to be concerned about these things with prior albums. And based on what everybody kept telling me, including my producer, my vocal teacher, and my bandmates, everybody thinks that my voice changed for the best, and I have more capability and probably even more stamina to do what I do. So this recording process of this specific album, I went through different stages of emotions, some even fear, because I didn't know what to expect. But I was trying my best to work hard and to be good to myself and not too harsh to myself. And yeah, that's what I did. And eventually I actually recorded 2 albums, one with Death Dealer Union and one with Infected Rain, give or take in the same amount of time. And Death Dealer Union came out last year, which is a band I joined for as a side project here from LA. And this album is coming out tomorrow. So I believe that there is a change. I feel the change in my stamina for sure. I don't know when it comes to actual sound if there is a change. I think people that listen to the band are the ones to answer this. But absolutely, this is something that impacted like big time my composing process. And like, I didn't even know what I'm capable of anymore, because I didn't know what is my body gonna have at least the same range. My vocal cords are gonna have at least the same power, or is it gonna be worse, you know?
Yet it seems like more. Call it a crazy coincidental timing. So we do a series called Track by Track, where we take older albums and we run them through in video form, track by track. Anyway, we this very past week did 86. At the same time as obviously listening to the new album and then planning to speak to you. So listen to 86, and then of course Time, basically one after the other, shows there is some changes in your voice going forward, but it's not like it's wildly different or it's lesser, as you said, or anything like that. In fact, I look at a track like Vivarium. Those screams I hear in my sleep. That's how terrifyingly strong those are. So it certainly seems to have worked out well in the end.
Thank you.
No, I mean, 12 tracks obviously on Time, a variety, a great showcase of what Infected Rain has. So I'm quite interested to sort of see what listeners think of certain tracks that haven't been released. Something like, I don't know, A Second or 1,000 Years, for example, just because it's quite cinematic.
Yeah.
But from your perspective, is there a specific track in your album that you're really interested in seeing the reaction to?
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait for people to react to the song Pandemonium, which is actually a song that we shot a music video for, and it will come out after the album release as another gift. Probably visually one of the best looking videos, in my opinion. We went all out for production, and it just visually, it's so interesting. I loved being part of it. The song itself is literally about the life we live in, all of us, the entire nation, the entire planet, the life that we are in right now, this insanity that we call normal, and how crazy and how depressing that is, really. Yeah, we poison ourselves, and we get poisoned, and that's also normal. So basically around this is pandemonium built, and I feel like it's one of the heaviest songs on the album. I also really can't wait for people to react to paura. Paura means fear in Italian, and it has an intro in Italian as an homage to my family and my sister that actually gave me a book long ago about fear and how it destroys our lives. A book that I read multiple times, a tiny little book. And yeah, I got inspired to in a way continue the thoughts from that book, or to share my thoughts about fear itself, and how much that really affects us. When it comes to the electronic outro that you just mentioned, it's actually really interesting because not many people know about it, but it's actually our intro, the way we start the shows, and we've been using it last year for almost 100 shows. No one knows. It's actually everything is connected and led slowly to time.
Probably because as it starts up and the lights come down, the sound of people screaming and cheering drowns it out. Because of course, Infected Rain means a hell of a lot to a lot of people, even more year on year, even more, I think, once this album is fully landed. You touch hearts and souls, offer up cathartic music that you can feel, but also, you know, lose your mind to. Go a bit crazy, should you choose to. And I know this because I consider myself one of these people and know plenty who say the same. The power of what Infected Rain offer can never be understated. So I wanted to ask you, from your perspective, what does Infected Rain mean to you?
Oh, it's everything to me. It's most importantly, in the first place, it is my medicine. And the moment I realized that for myself, that is the moment when I knew that I need to do this for as long as I physically can, because nothing helps me as much as Infected Rain. And there's so much I can talk about this, and it will all lead to the fact that I try my best to heal through sharing and being as transparent as possible with my audience about my fears, my disappointments, all kinds of emotions that I go through in life. Some of them are very painful, very. And the moment I realized how much music heals me, I knew that I will have to give that transparency to the audience if I want them to see the real me and to feel the same thing I feel from my own music. So yeah, it is Infected Rain. It's my medicine, for sure.
And I think for a lot of people as well who listen and, of course, see you live, big tour coming up end of Feb throughout March all over Europe and into the UK. You're playing my city, London, the Roundhouse.
Oh, nice. That could be our last show.
Yeah, it is a spectacular venue. I love that place. And I wanted to ask, because I consider Infected Rain two halves, your live and your studio. Put the two together and you get this giant. Would you agree with that? How much of who Infected Rain comes from your live performances?
Yeah, I think that our live shows deliver a lot, and some of the people kept telling us that live shows deliver even more. than the CDs do, actually, when it comes to emotion, when it comes to connection and interaction. Some of the people even compliment us being even better live as musicians. Now, obviously, that depends on the venue, that depends on so many aspects on tour. Every show is different. And even if you see the same show every day of a band on the same tour with the same lineup and same track list, I guarantee you that you are going to witness different shows every day, because so much more depends on outside factors. Now, that being said, we do love to play live shows. That is where the cathartic effect actually happening. Is happening on stage more than in the studio. In the studio, you go through it. Yes, sometimes it's very hard. You take a moment, you do it again, and you do it again. And, you know, you did it. The record is recorded. Now try and go through that emotion every day on stage. That is the challenge, and that is what we are trying to accept and show people and give people. And of course, there are many ups and downs during shows, and there's many things that I had to learn to do as a musician when it comes to being surrounded with so many people and stuff like that. But nothing, even the biggest fear of crowd or not liking being in certain environments, or no fears at all, can overcome the healing process that is happening on stage. So it's so rewarding. It's so, yeah.
Also, on that front, talking about the live, I want to mention Bloodstock in August because it's my personal go-to festival, and you're playing it. And obviously the festival is a huge, big deal for a lot of people. What does it mean for you to play Bloodstock this year?
Oh, I was jumping around the house when I found out, to be honest. There are definitely quite a few events, like festivals or even venues that have become iconic throughout the years, and they become like a milestone for a band. It is important. It's like part of your resume. Have you played, you know, Wacken? Have you played Rock am Ring? Have you played Bloodstock? You know what I'm saying? And adding this to our so-called resume, obviously there's no resume that a band is holding, but like just knowing that, hey, this is where I saw you, or this band played on this iconic stage, it means a lot, you know, even though often events like that are insanely difficult for musicians because there's so much going on. You don't have normally enough time for sound check, line check, or to just you know, avoid certain technical difficulties, to like make sure everything works properly. You're not given enough time on stage, and so on. There's so many, but at the same time, it's so rewarding. You go on this gigantic stage, even if you play in the smallest stage on a big festival, I assure you, you're going to have big audience, and it's still a big stage. So never get discouraged if you're a musician and you get to play at this event. And, you know, yeah, the amount of people that can see you all at the same time, it is so important for the career of a musician, because these big gatherings are gatherings of people with different taste, with different age difference, cultural difference, and it's so awesome to connect everybody through your music.
Yeah, I think Bloodstock's excited for you to be there as well, and the general buzz when you announced seemed to suggest everyone is very excited for you to be there. It's far away right now, but it'll come around soon enough.
Yes.
Before we wrap up, Lena, we have a section, and this is Ozzy Osbourne, and in his head are random cards. Random questions about anything and everything, many submitted by other bands and artists. I'm just going to pull some out and throw them your way. They're random, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, first thing. What is something you just find so boring, but others tend to love?
Never thought about it this way. I don't know, like I find quite boring TV games. Like you know, like TV shows that are actual games that involve people, like, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Reason people are so interested in those, and I never was.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah, it was like I don't hate it, but I'm never gonna watch it or sit around. For me, it's like, okay, I have stuff to do.
Okay, this is a good one considering what we talked about on this interview. What country or culture has the best food, in your opinion?
Italy, hands down, hands down, hands down. People should learn from their cuisine and the ethics of the foods.
Fantastic. Okay, what is a memory that always makes you smile?
Um, I think a memory that pops up in my head quite often, especially when I think or talk about my family, is a memory about me and my sisters opening my, our mother's closet when she was not home and trying on all her dresses. Oh my God. And we would like pose and like do the walk of like, like we are models. Oh, that was so much fun.
Oh, fabulous. Okay, this is a good one considering of the Italian connection. Does fish belong on pizza?
Fish doesn't belong as food, in my opinion. Sorry, I don't do animal product for many
Of
years.
course. Of course, of course. That is a well-known fact about you. Okay, last but not least then, what is one thing about the music industry that you'd change if you could make it better for everyone?
So much I would change. Um, I would first of all, and that's again, without being prepared for this question, first thing that came to my mind would be I would love people to stop already concentrating so much on, oh, this is a new thing, women in metal. No, it's not. It's been out there forever. Maybe not in quantities that it is right now, but because you put an emphasis on it, that's why it's a big deal. And it's not a big deal for us, at least for me. Not. I never consider that I am like one of the few that started this new thing in the early 2000s where women were in metal. Women didn't have many type of jobs in the 20s and 30s. It was something that just, it's history type of thing. It's not like someone right now specifically doesn't give women a job because they're the gender. Or if we're talking about metal, we should stop talking about it like it's a specific different genre. It's not a different genre. Who cares what's in your pants? You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, growing up, like as a teenager, getting into metal was always the most accepting place. No matter what age you are, what ethnicity you are, what color is your skin, what language you speak, and specifically, it doesn't matter what's, your gender. Why does that matter so much? It has to stop.
Well put. I couldn't agree more. The term female fronted, insert ban, might be one of the most infuriating things. But it's, as you said, it's not like it's a new infuriation. It's an infuriation that's existed for very.
This is for a very long time. And trust me, out of like every 10 interviews, maybe one don't ask me that question. And thank you for not asking that question. How is it to be a female in the metal industry? I don't know how it is to be a male. So how can I answer? Seriously, stop asking that question.
Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at GBHBL. Just search for GBHBL and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.